So let's talk about AI. It feels like every business out there is experimenting with it, right? But there's this one single question that keeps popping up in every boardroom, and that's where's the value? In this explainer, we're going to move past just, playing around with the latest AI tools. We're going to get real and figure out how to get an actual, measurable return on that investment.
And this quote, wow, it just nails the problem, doesn't it? This came from a leader at a recent AI conference, and you should have seen it. The second they asked this question, literally every head in the room started nodding. Everyone's feeling this. And that's because this isn't just a tech question anymore, it's a leadership question. And that's exactly what we're going to dig into today.
We're right in the middle of this huge shift in how we even talk about AI. Think about it. For the last year or so, it was just this mad scramble, right? Get the latest tools, get access. Well, that race, it's pretty much over. The focus has completely, and I mean completely, changed. And this right here really shows you what I'm talking about. We've moved on from asking, hey, which AI tool should we use, to asking a much smarter question. Where can AI create a measurable advantage for us? This is a huge sign that the whole conversation around AI in business is finally growing up.
Okay, so if it's not about the tools anymore, then why is it still so hard to find that value? What's going on? Well, it all boils down to something we can call the clarity gap.
And here's the core tension, plain and simple. On one hand, you've got capability. It's everywhere. We have access to all these incredible AI models. But on the other hand, clarity. Actually knowing how and where to apply all that power to a real business problem, that is super, super scarce. And that scarcity is the real bottleneck.
So what happens when you don't have that clarity? You get this random acts of AI. It's when your teams are super busy, a lot of stuff is happening, but it's all just disconnected. It's not tied to any real strategy. And the result? You're burning through money, you're wasting precious time on these little pilot projects that seem cool, but in the end, they just fizzle out. They never scale up into something that actually moves the needle for the business.
Okay, so how do we fix this mess? The answer isn't to throw more technology at the problem. It's about having a disciplined framework, a way to make better decisions. So let's walk through a really simple but powerful model, the AI Edge model.
This whole model is built on 5 key principles. We're going to start by finding a real problem, not a fake one. We're going to insist on measuring everything. We'll use the simplest tool for the job, keep humans in the driver's seat, and, this is critical, we'll focus on scaling what actually works. This is how you go from just random experiments to getting real, disciplined results.
All right, let's break these 5 principles down, one by one. This is where we get practical.
First up, and this is maybe the most important step, define strategic friction. You don't start with the AI, you start with the business. You have to ask, where are we leaking value? Where are our processes just grinding to a halt? The goal here is to find a meaningful business problem, not just a cool tech puzzle to solve.
And just to be clear, strategic friction isn't some fuzzy abstract idea. We're talking about real, concrete problems. We're talking about customers leaving you for a competitor. We're talking about actual money being wasted on processes that don't work. Or watching your competition launch new stuff while you're stuck in neutral. See, if the problem you're solving isn't strategic, believe me, the AI solution won't be either.
Okay, principle number 2 is non-negotiable. You have to quantify before you automate. So many AI projects fail right here. They jump in without getting any baseline metrics. And look, if you don't know your starting point, how on earth are you ever going to prove you made things better? The answer is, you can't. This is literally where ROI goes to die. All right, number 3. This is a big one that the smartest companies figure out pretty fast. It's about minimizing your intelligence footprint. Here's the deal. Not every problem needs the AI equivalent of a sledgehammer. A lot of the time, a much simpler, smaller tool is faster, it's cheaper, and frankly, it's safer. Your goal should be to solve the problem as efficiently as possible, not to build the biggest, baddest, most impressive-sounding AI machine.
Principle 4 is all about designing human oversight. Look, AI can't just be some black box spitting out decisions that we have to blindly follow. That's a recipe for disaster. The best systems, the most effective, and the safest ones are built with humans in the loop. They have intentional checkpoints. The whole point of AI should be to extend our human capability and superpower our judgment, not to just cut us out of the picture entirely.
And that brings us to the 5th and final step, which is so important. We have to stop scaling pilots and start scaling patterns. What's the difference? Well, a pilot is just a one-off isolated experiment.
A pattern? That's a repeatable playbook, an operating model that you can take and apply again and again across the entire company. And that is the difference between having a bunch of disconnected little projects and driving a real enterprise-wide transformation.
Okay, so there you have it. That's the model. But how do you actually put this into practice? Let's make this super actionable. I'm going to give you a simple exercise, a few questions you can literally take to your team tomorrow morning.
All right, question number 1. Pick any AI project you've got going on right now and ask your team this. What specific strategic friction are we trying to solve? Be a stickler for this. If the answer you get is vague, or if it's all about the cool tech, that's a massive red flag.
Question number 2. You gotta push for the numbers. Ask, how are we measuring the before state, and how exactly are we going to measure the after state? If there isn't a crystal clear answer to that question, you will never be able to prove ROI. It is truly that simple.
And finally, question number 3. This is the big picture one. What is the repeatable pattern we intend to scale from this? Asking this forces everyone to lift their heads up and think beyond just this one little project. It makes them consider how a win here could be replicated to create value all over the business. And that really brings us to the final, most important takeaway here. This is what it all boils down to. In this new era of AI, having access to the tools, that's becoming table stakes. It's common. But what's really rare, what's going to separate the winners from everyone else, it's the discipline to make clear, strategic decisions. So just remember, the real edge isn't about having the most capability, it's about having the most clarity.